Low Targar friends, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was Max Effort Lower Day. We got a good PR, but just a quick reminder for those of you who watch and enjoy these videos, please click like down below. Help me keep them likes higher than the dislikes, and reach down and click like on the other links that I uploaded today too. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Alright, we got our 585. Now my first 2 reps I sink these deep. Arguably the 3rd rep, people are arguing about depth. Questionable maybe. The topic always comes up, but I do have a way that I can check depth. It's just that I can't really do it and show you guys the plates at the same time. So I've messed with this already, and I pretty well know where my depth is regarding my stance and range of motion and everything else. So just something to keep in mind. I am on top of that, guys. Remember, people said all this same stuff 6 or 7 years ago, and I didn't get red lighted at comp, either regionals or nationals, right? Or depth, and everyone was talking about, oh, I think your squats may be high. And I walked into comp and had no problems. Okay. Right? A lot of times people don't really know what they're looking at, and that's okay. But we got the 585. We got it. It was easier than I expected, and I don't mean that it was easy, but when I timed it, it was exactly a 3-second concentric. Now this one here, yeah, this is it. It's a 3-second rep from the bottom to the top. So I timed it, it's exactly 3 seconds. Okay, that's not exactly a grinder, right? What would Louis Simmons say about that? Louis Simmons would say that may not quite be a max. So we're going to get that 600. Now, I felt good afterwards. Nothing was hurting, nothing was fatigued, but my God, did the deadlifts beat me up. So we went up 5 pounds again, and I built up to 580. Now the second rep here, of course, when I get up to it, my grip felt a little slippery, but I wasn't squeezing it as hard as I could. I made sure I gripped everything hard. Grip held fine on the next one, and it didn't slip. It felt a little slippery at the top. Now, keeping in mind, we've got chain weight at the top. And I also felt like when we got to it, because it was grindy, it was a 4-second rep. 4 seconds for the concentric, for those curious. So when I get to the 580 plus the chains, I did hit my normal sticking point. But I felt upper back weakness. Of course, Coach Justin chimed in. He's a good guy. He's a real strong dude himself. Benches well over 400 pounds in comp. He kind of came in and said, I don't really see upper back. I'd keep hitting those hamstrings. And, you guys know I'm hammering the hamstrings hard because I did suspect a hamstring weakness. And it's hard always to be objective with ourselves. But, when we get there, I felt like my upper back was a little bit weak at the top. Then again, the lockout was fast, and I'm against chains at the top, right? So that's not 580 at the top, guys. We're pulling a lot of heavy chain up there. But then my quads were destroyed. I literally had to take like an hour off before I did any squats. I had to massage my quads, everything else. That deadlift actually made my quads hurt. So, came in and did these, and I went with 5s. I went with 80%. All right, this is 465. 465 pounds for sets of 5s. These were some of the hardest sets I've done in months. These were hard. And anyone who wants to laugh at that, I mean, maybe you're a really strong dude, but I want you guys to let that sink in. This is 465 for 2 sets of 5. A lot of you guys who might chime in, you can't even max that. I just hit a 585 first. These sets were harder than the max. And they made either my glute or my hip hurt too on top of it. And I'm trying to figure out what the exact spot is because I can't tell if it's a combination of my upper abductor and my abductor, right? Or if it's just my glute. But it seems like it gets slightly pulled on some stuff. And it makes that whole area radiate a little bit. And I almost feel like I think it might actually be my glute itself. And it gets the same thing when I pull heavy on sumo. Ends up becoming a problem. So I realize it's just that area is hurting. We'll call it glute hip, whatever. It definitely was beat up at the end of these 2 sets. It was beat up. So I'm looking forward to that weekend of not really using it. I'll do sled drags and stuff, but they don't work those things as hard. Feel a lot more quad. You know, and I don't feel my hips hurt even if that does that when I do the sled drag. So, you know, maybe it really is the glute. So I'm going to have to just massage that whole area. I went to do deadlifts, by the way, we'll put a 0 there. I went to, because I always do at least one ramp up set on every lift. I went to grab whatever, well under 400 pounds plus the chains, and I went to pull it and it just stuck on the floor. I was completely shot. After those two maxes and then those two sets of 5, I was going to try to do 2 sets of 5 at 80% on my deadlift. Yeah, silly me. That was the plan for today. I couldn't even break a weight off the floor. I'm like, I can't pull heavy today. I pulled heavy reps with 85% after maxing on Tuesday. I got plenty of deadlifting in. We can do a different hip hinge. Let's just start working these good mornings in. Now, people are going to say, Jason, that's like 100 pounds less than your 20 rep max on that bar. I haven't done these in well over a month, any good mornings. I'm going to work them back in. And I realize this is a good time for me to get a nice light weight, get a good stretch, good range of motion. Let's just get some blood flow to all that area, get the movement pattern down again, and then do my other accessory work, which I'm going to push real hard. I just want to get into the habit of doing the good mornings again, because I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do squat, deadlift, and good morning variations, all 3 of them, and then try to do glute ham raises and reverse hypers. Because realistically, at the end of the day, I've just got to keep getting my lower body more jacked. Any of my upper back that we're talking about being a potential weakness, the safety bar work is going to fix that. The safety bar squats and good mornings will sort that. I'm doing upper back work on upper days. Again, heavy ass rows, heavy hang pulls. We're continuing to build that area. It is being emphasized. I really need these days to just keep building the lower body. My squat and my deadlift are moving forward. My squats are the strongest they have been since I was in my 20s. And I turned 44 in just under a month, guys. Less than a month. And my squats are the strongest they've been since I was in my 20s. Okay. My deadlifts are getting up there. I think if all this keeps coming along, my squats will keep increasing my deadlifts, really. All my squat and squat accessory work will increase the deadlifts. All these good mornings will increase it. Glute ham raises will increase it. I just got to keep that grip caught up. Got to keep doing my grip work and my weighted carries. And the weighted carries will work the upper back too. Farmer's walks. So these things will all get caught up. And I hate this angle in this lighting. I might end up swapping these back around just for better camera angles. I thought this would be a better setup in general. The switch where I had these 2 devices, the reverse hyper and the GHR, it actually hadn't even improved my workflow at all. Right? It hasn't helped me in any way. And it's made angles terrible, lighting terrible. So I may bite the bullet and swap them back this weekend, depending on how I feel. You know, give me something else to do. A lot of client stuff though the weekends. But glute ham raises, I went ahead and hit what I hit last time. So I did those 2 sets of 20 with 175 on the cambered bar. Good morning. Which weren't particularly fatiguing, but we'll build back into the good mornings. All right, I do not want to come in when I'm fatigued like that and hit heavy good mornings without having practiced now. So we'll ease back into it. So I ended up repeating last workout on the glute ham raise. I got my 3 sets of 12. And quite frankly, the last set was really hard. I don't know that I had another rep anyways. Right? Because I feel like I'm grinding on rep 12. So I'm happy with these. But again, sets of 12 with a 10-pounder on the hardest setting I can fit in. And, you know, when I had done before, I was at sets of 10 when I'd taken these out. So my hamstrings are catching back up. So, you know, I'll do this and then people say, Jason, well, what do you mean it's your hamstrings could be a weak link on some of your deadlifting, your hamstrings? It's like, okay, guys, I don't mean weak compared to the average lifter. I mean they're a muscle that's potentially keeping me from reaching the next level. Does that make sense? You always have to remember that. No, I don't mean that I have weak hamstrings. I have weak hamstrings for a guy who wants to deadlift 700 pounds. How's that? They're going to have to get stronger. I think my quads are going to have to get stronger to get it to a 700-pound deadlift. I think my T-spine's going to have to get stronger. My traps are going to have to get stronger. My grip's going to have to get stronger. But I know my hamstrings are going to need a lot more strength. Realistically, I think my hamstrings need to be another 15% stronger, maybe 20% stronger than they are now. And that's asking a lot. But you know what? Do we want to pull like that and be injury free? Do we want to be able to pull like that and not pull a hamstring doing it? Okay. I'm gonna have to work these hamstrings, and I'm gonna have to work them hard. It's like I'm realizing now my triceps are gonna have to be worked hard. And we're doing stuff with the pecs, but just like I admitted yesterday, the way I did those JM presses, that's gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to get in and treat those JM presses like a real accessory. Do them right. You know, and I'm getting a lot of pressing in, but I'm gonna have to get in. I've got to get those triceps up. Triceps are gonna have to come up. I feel like my current game plan, the pecs are growing. I can tell my chest is growing. Okay, you got to get those triceps growing again, just triceps and hamstrings. These are going to be big priorities for me, in addition to things like upper back. And I noticed the glute. So I was trying to figure out what was going on. I noticed that whole glute area hurting if I wasn't careful in these. Like if I let this thing swing too far forward, my glute hurt. Like that was a warning sign that I'm not controlling it enough. My glute would hurt on any rep where that thing went a couple inches too far forward at the bottom. So these were hard though. I couldn't have gotten more than my 20 reps, I don't think. There's no way I could have gotten to 25. So these were pretty well my limits for the day with 560 for 3x20. But you know, hamstrings and all that just got worked pretty hard. Glutes got worked pretty hard. I have some minor inflammation going on in the glute there. All right, I'm going to have to get in and massage all that. Rest. Get plenty of sleep in this weekend, plenty of protein. Right? So we can come PR that safety bar squat on Tuesday. We got to PR that, and we've got to keep trying to ride that edge on those deadlift PRs, right? Deadlifts might get over to where I start having to add 2.5 pounds instead of 5, but I'm doing them twice a week. You know what? But what does that equal in 4 weeks? Well, we're looking at potentially 600 plus the change if I can pull that off. But I feel like I've got a good safety bar squat PR in the hole. Looking forward to it. But we've got to keep those hamstrings growing. I've got to keep those triceps growing. You know, we got to do. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.